Oh, folks, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome back to Kenshi. This is my fourth time at trying to record this. Not Kenshi, the footage you're seeing, but this is post-commentary. Um, I don't really know the details of it, but when I was messing with my PC settings before, just have to reach for something. Um, on the previous episodes you've seen of Kenshi here, the hammer thing footage, I had two audio bars being recorded, my audio and the game's audio separately. Normally I have it as one bar, but the way it was being recorded was taking up so much space due to separate reasons. But the only you can only have separate bars if you record in advanced OBS settings. There's simple and advanced. Simple, you work from some presets, graphical presets, and that's it. So you end up with nice compact videos that are of fine quality. But if you go to advanced to have the separate audio bars, then you don't get those handy presets and have to work with the raw values and somehow work out what you should be using. They do give you approximates, but they lack the compression, or they're not very close. The file sizes end up vastly inflated compared to the approximates. Not that I was using them when I was recording this, but even now when I'm doing it, doing the two audio bar thing again now, it's still grossly inflated. But yeah, basically, in the Kenshi I recorded previously, and the Hammer thing before it, and numerous other series, what I was recording, I had the two audio bars. In this set, I switched back to the one audio bar, but I didn't actually make sure my audio was there. You only got the game's audio, so yeah. Sorry, just do something, but yeah, you only got the game's audio. That's it, nothing else. When I ran it through VLC to make sure there wasn't, another audio track to listen to. It was down as like sample audio or something. There was a weird name to it. It's very strange. But yeah, so I now have to re-record 5 hours, 27 minutes, 59 seconds. Sorry, 29 seconds and 50 whatever, smaller than a second. Nanoseconds, that sounds too small. It feels like there should be like a macrosecond or something. Something between second and nano. Maybe macro's too big of a thing. I don't know. But yeah. Near yay shy of 5 hours, 28 minutes. A bit much, but that's all there is to it. My grog distillery research is now done. So yeah, Army is very, very close to being just like, yeah, I'm just gonna spice in random bit of dialogue from me. It's just like a roulette table. I'm like, tickle me Elmo. Every once in a while, I'll just say something random, and you'll be happy. And just leaving it at that. So, because I'm 4 minutes in and I already want to die. But this is my first time recording this. This is my fourth attempt? Fifth? Fourth. So yeah. So, I'm trying to get down some buildings here, some resource gather points that I can get down near the hub without setting down a base, as I'm nowhere near able to deal with the raids. Though that being said, I've been watching some Kenshi vids as of late. Keep in mind, when I recorded this about 2 years ago, the footage here, what I'm saying now, it's not going to affect what's in this series at all. Not at all. But there's a deserty area off to one side with like oases in it. And then I've seen other places that are on the coast, and they seem like interesting places to set up bases because you can use the water to your advantage. Enemies approach and they're greatly slowed by the water. You set up a ton of harpoon guns and you can just blitz them. It's a beautiful system and would make setting up a base viable. It's very tempting. Similarly, I have heard about one place. I think it's on the east coast, could be on the west coast. It's a settlement that got obliterated. You can set up nearby or something, and the enemy, like, you will get like harassment waves from the Holy Order, but there's other factions going around there that will also attack that Holy Order wave. Or what? Holy Nation, Holy Nation. So yeah, could be an option. So yeah, this is something I'm gonna have to do bit by bit, but I have to actually remain happy with the bits I've done before. Unlike that one bit of more like that one bit of Cyberpunk where I had to do this. Didn't have to do it for nearly as long though. It's kind of annoying that it is so long simply because I am recording this in. I'm watching the footage you're seeing in front of you right now. Like, ooh, that harpoon gunner just collapsed. Oh, there's a raid on the hub. I'm looting the shit, or there's dust hounds attacking the hub. I'm looting the shit out of them. But I thought that was a harpoon guy. It's just a random dog bite gun. But I'm staring at it through DaVinci Resolve, my editor. The issue is it sometimes freezes. You end up after falling behind or something with it, and when you're doing something like this, that can make it a real bitch to try and catch up on where you should be. So it kind of ruins whatever you recorded because, like, the audio bar is going to be so far ahead, and you have to work out where was the last point you watched to, and cut it there, and like push everything else off. You know, don't worry, we turn this off in a sec. It's messy. What I would like to do is render it out and watch it in like VLC while recording this, but the only issue is, like, if I'm doing this in stages, it makes it a bit more awkward to stop and start because I have to work it out and time it out, and tedious. Well, I suppose the idea would be I'll go into DaVinci here, slot in the audio that I'm happy with. Then when I come back to do more, I just look at where that audio is and then open up the rendered file and move the bar to there. I suppose the only way that would be anyway difficult would be if it's, 9 minutes, 8 seconds, and 10 minor seconds, if it's not a smooth thing. But even then, that's a minor, gripe. It wouldn't be an issue. Not really. But I suppose they would add up. It could be 5 seconds off by the end of it. So I'm still doing plenty of researching. Like, people are still doing plenty of work. My god, 5 fucking hours I have to go through this. 10 minutes in, and I'm already like, huh. Using my ponytail here as a noose is something more and more appealing. Anyway, um, yeah, I'm gonna leave this here. I figured, you know what, I should just get this started again. Make some degree of a step forwards on it. Then I can, do a bit more tomorrow, a bit more day after. Oh, there's another brawl going on over there. Yeah, it must be bandits fighting the city guards. Yeah, escape servant, Holy Nation Outlaws. It's one of the roving guards, roving packs, fighting a starving bandit. I'm trying to make money, but I'm not sure what I can justify selling. I need building materials. Something I've said before in things, but I'll say it again. I'll say it as many times as I damn well feel like. You know what, Kenshi 2? To a certain degree, like, yeah, I would like a new map and I would like a new world for it. Like, it's gonna take a few hundred years before Kenshi here. It's like, yeah, do that. But mechanically speaking, I'm fine with Kenshi as it is. What I would like changed would be quality of life improvements. Fixing the AI, fixing pathing, making it so, like, say if I'm allied here with the hub, one issue I run into, I think in a different playthrough, could be this one, is my guys deciding to run into people's private homes to put someone on their bed. One of my guys or otherwise. And then just standing there and staring till the guards of the hub attack, and I'm no longer allied with them. I think my guys have even run into the bar and stolen food before. Just automatically, they decided that food was theirs, and it very much wasn't. So, yeah, basically tightening up on like quality of life stuff, different errors and issues. I would play that game. There's a new world to play with, and like the material here to work with in Kenshi is pretty substantial. Minor quality of life change fixes and bug changes and whatnot, or quality of life changes and bug fixes would just make it all the more palatable. To a certain degree, I wouldn't even want anything more. Here's another change. If you send someone too far away from their work, they'll forget what their work was. They'll keep the little thing in the menu, but they'll actually forget the details of the job. They'll just say, work on such a thing, without specifying what such a thing is. So that's something I would certainly like fixed. Like, I think Kenshi is a great idea. It's an interesting setting. It's an interesting just concept as a whole. The only thing holding it back in my eyes is weird glitches and, quality of life things. If those were smoothed out and fixed up, the game would be beautiful. I'm really hoping it doesn't take too long for Kenshi 2 to get released. I think I saw someone saying it took 8 years for the first one, but that was then, this is now, different circumstances. I'm hoping that Kenshi 2 will be released a hell of a lot sooner. I'm really damn well looking forward to it. That being said, I should come back and actually try and, finish Kenshi. That would be a good idea. I suppose that's a bit spoilery for this series, but I do play a fair bit more of it, but I don't beat the game. I got kind of distracted. And then when I come back, it's been so long I start a new series. Simply because I found new mods, I don't remember where I was left off, and blah blah, new series. But I think I'm going to call it here, because I am actually getting rather tired. And I know in one of my recordings I started dozing off. Another one, I started dozing off, but not as much as the previous time. I simply forgot to keep talking. Good old debt comes. But yeah, to a certain degree, I almost wouldn't want like new mechanics and new stuff. Just fixing up what's there will make a hell of a game, you know? Just improving upon what's there, tightening it up a bit, tweaking it a little, you would make a good game even better, you know? That's, I'm not saying that I would turn down, say, if they introduced a good, fully fledged mechanic or, you know, something interesting. I'm not saying I'll turn it down. Just simply that on a certain level, them perfecting Kenshi will be worth the price of admission. You know, fixing up the AI, fixing up pathing, and, you know, just tweaks and, you know, TLC. That would certainly win kudos with me. Like, for example, in the base game, trading is pretty much worthless. Excuse me. Trading's basically worthless. No one has any cash. No one has funds. Like, you've seen me before try to trade in the base game, not much, but I did try. Like, you set up, you know, farms at the hub. The character's AI does bug out in trying to, you know, do their jobs, as far as I remember. Their AI does bug out. So, you know, if such things were polished up and, you know, left shining, Kenshi 2 would be looking damn well good. Additionally, oftentimes in sequels, maybe not the direct sequel, but a few down the line, they do start butchering or stripping out mechanics. You know. Then a sequel being made where they don't do that and simply just improve the thing of the first game, that would be nice. But anyway, I'm getting rather tired here. I'm going to call it for now. Bit by bit, I will get through all this, and I will try and pay more attention to what's going on. I kind of just started talking out of shop here. First good bit of it was to just explain what's going on and talk about stuff. Here is just Kenshi 2, because someone actually commented about Kenshi 2 on my channel the other day, so it was on my mind. If there is anything you would say, please let me know in the comment section below. Just, if you're commenting on something in particular, include a timestamp. If this is some generalized thing, then probably no real need, but timestamp will be useful. But anyway, I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you join me again soon. Till then. Hello, folks, and I've returned. 5, 4, 3. Hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kind of terribly timed, but sure. I said 1 after I hit spacebar. Fantastic, well done. I remember recording this has been a bit of a piss up, honestly. The reason I say that is because I've done multiple takes of this. I think in total I've done 5 different audiobook, like 5 different attempts at this. Only using 1 right now, excluding the one I'm presently recording. I came back and tried to do 2 more the other day, and then the measured here on the audio and like out of sync, and I ended up discovering that I had actually sessions out of order. I had like a queue. It was like 6A, 6A, 6B, 6Q, and like 6B was kind of a bit short, and I just had to redo it. So yeah, I can't remember if I remember thinking before I was worried like had I finished the point I was trying to make, like fully made the point. But basically, the reason why there's no audio here is I had for a time been recording with two audio bars, in game and my mic, like the computer and my mic. But then I discovered, well, I realized how much file space it was taking up. So I was like, fuck it, go back to one bar. It's because of the graphic settings rather than the audio bars themselves. But the audio bars are kind of, due to the way OBS sets it, you can only have two audio bars if you go on the Meteor graphic settings, or you move away from the preset stuff that are a lot lighter on space. So anyway, when I was switching back to the presets, it didn't switch back rightly. It only recorded the game audio, and it was like a sample audio or something when I ran it through VLC. That's what it called itself. It was like sample audio. It was a piss up. So yeah, now I have to sit down and record an extra 5 hours, 7 minutes, 5 hours, 6 minutes, and so many seconds. It's a piss up. So, what are we up to? Well, right now, we're just working here at the hub. Bought a new building, I've gotten some storage units set up. Or getting some set up. Grictal was building. Addy is just standing there. The issue with I've gotten so many new people, I don't have actually any jobs for them yet. There's only so much work built around the hub, or I imagine any settlement. Like once you go far enough away, I think the AI does have some issues, like actually efficiently working the job. There's only a limited area that's active to their AI. Dead Comes is starving to death, so their name is still correct, it's just aimed at themselves. I think the fact that I'm just staring at the 5 hour, goal here is kind of killing me inside. You know, when I did this for Cyberpunk, this was not nearly as painful. Like, not nearly. Well, because I had, like, past me's audio to bounce off of. Like, I had to be on the ball to have past me's commentary in here, too. So, But anyway, we're going on a journey here with Grictal, Pack Beast, Dead Comes, Striped Hound. I think that's the combo. The window I'm looking at is very small, so I can't really make out names. But sending out on a journey with them to get some food. Well, to do some trading and get some food. I probably would have said it at this point, but I know where we're going because I've already recorded this bit. We're going to Hiveland. I think you just saw a map there. My eyes were closed for a second. Just the tail end of it. Yeah, the four of them will be heading off to the Hivers, because I swore they had a bit of cheap food on them. Plus, there's always the chance of getting mobbed by well, not getting mobbed by, but getting wild animals nearby get mobbed by the hivers. Gorillas and beak things often wander close, so or right through their settlement. So you start a fight and run away to the guards, and the guards will take you down and leave you with the free meat. You can achieve a similar thing by luring like the pack beasts to the Highlander camp or what have you. Not pack beasts, cage beasts. Modded creature. My god, time is going slowly. I also know I was setting up jobs there for the workers, but again, I swear there is a limit to the efficiency in the AI for distance. I mean, it doesn't handle distance jobs well. Which is a shame. It's again something I'm hoping for in Kenshi 2, where they just. It's very much Kenshi in like mechanics and whatnot, but it's just fleshed out more, more quality of life fixes. I think that would actually be enough for me. You know, it doesn't need to be integrated. That would serve me just fine. Regrettably, I've fallen behind in re-recording all this audio because life's been busy and this is cripplingly boring. As of time of recording, we've been one of the things we've been busy with is clearing out my childhood home. I grew up in my nan's home. It was me, my mom, my aunt, my nan, and her husband. My grand aunt would come to visit frequently enough. You may be thinking, oh, wouldn't your nan's husband be your granddad? No relation. He's granddad by law. Just, you know. Less said about him, the better, let's put it that way. But, yeah, the place is after getting sold. And so we're there to clear it out. Nan's passed a fair few years back, 2019, I think. And to be honest, all the years of work together. I think it was the whole start of the COVID thing she passed. Not from COVID, it was something else. I don't know what. And the reason. I don't think we know what was the cause in the end. Or maybe we did here. To be honest, it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a jumble. And there's also family drama in the middle of that. Ugh. Like, seriously. You can't check a bit of our family history without finding drama. It's like crumbs under, a beast guy's fat fold. It's gotta be there. But yeah, mind blanking. Tired. One thing change that would be nice is to just be able to like tack on to a character and just follow them, like have the camera follow them, so you could just glide along the wasteland with like Gricktal here. That'd be nice. But yeah, there's family drama all throughout it. I actually talked about a bit of it before. But anyway. Yeah, Nan passed a while back, and the place is getting sold up now. We have to go through and clear the place out, see what's to be gotten rid of, see what's to keep, and it's difficult work. I have terrible OCD, and I'm terrified of dirt, and the place hasn't really been kept in good condition. Not at all. The place is falling apart. Had to get rid of the wardrobe I had since I was a kid. These weird mites were in it. I think wood mites. I don't know. I ended up calling them mites because they're just these tiny little specks walking around on the wood. And apparently they're right pains in asses to clear out because they can infest the wood anywhere. They could have little tunnels weaving through it. So they're utter pains in the ass to remove, and we wouldn't have anywhere to store it while it's gonna get dealt with. We have a wooden shed, not a great place to put them. We have plenty of other wood furniture, so stuff we've taken down from there. We have to check them over to make sure they're safe. We did give a glance to, I'd say, the chest of drawers, but we didn't take out all the drawers, so we can't be sure it's safe. We only noticed that the wardrobe wasn't safe when we took it out, the drawers out, lit it on its back, and had a look at it. Only then. So, did find some like little Yu-Gi-Oh statues I had. Did not remember them. Found little bits from my childhood. Little letters that I wrote, a letter to Santa that Mama kept. I had some crush on some like anime character and wrote little letters. Not really getting the whole thing, but you know that she's fucking fictional. Mama kept those too. It was fucking painful, embarrassing to see, but it was sweet, and the fact she kept them meant a lot. And a hell of a lot. Ah, we're here in Hyverland. Woo! Acid rain! Why was there a snippet there? These are both 6B. I'm not sure. Captain, I'm not sure at all. Not really paying full attention here. This better have flowed right. I suppose it's not like I'm talking about what's on screen here. I'm just taking this as a chance to talk stories. Because, can I be honest, it's not really interesting me whatever's going on screen here. I know, I feel too disconnected from it. Even if I have my headset on, I just feel too disconnected from what's going on screen. I just can't click in like I did with the cyberpunk stuff. I think it's because there's less clues as to what the fuck I'm doing than with the cyberpunk stuff. Like, oh, there's a quest marker there, I'm quickly moving for the quest. Oh, I got distracted and started shooting guys. I know, I just feel disconnected from this. I know. But, Misty, if you're curious. Misty. It's painful, but whatever. It's kid me. I was a tiny tot at the time. Meant a lot, anyway. Not the fact she kept those and just seeing all the different toys, all the different stuff. It really meant a lot. I was like in the room. I had this blue on the walls, the peeling Disney stickers, peeling Digimon stickers, Gen 1 Digimon. It was the different humans of the cast and a few of the Digimon just peeling on the walls. This Manchester United clock I had. I got rid of it. We had to be a bit mean of what we took and what we got rid of. Part of me regrets it, but I don't really support them. I just like the aesthetic, the little devil. But yeah, we're also to take Maggie, but I haven't seen her. We were up there 2 days, breaking ourselves up. I might add. I'd actually jerked my back the other day, and now I have to go up and do this. A lot of bending, a lot of lifting. Thankfully, we have a guy with us to help out, but still, we can't leave it all to him. There's a lot there. My room, Mum's room, and we're gonna have a look in Nan's room. To see if there's on there to, like, her knitting needles, to take something to remember her by. She loved her knitting, like, my God. Like, if she could have, she would have probably just knitted the years away, She would have just knitted, and, nothing else, but she did have a house run. She loved her knitting, she was mad about it. But, yeah, we have to go through the different rooms and clear them out and see two things. Like, we found photo albums in Nan's room of. I don't think I was in any of them, but it would be Mom and. Hey, folks. Whoops, I made a mistake. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Have to kind of assault the key to make sure it's loud enough to actually what it will hear. But yeah, I made a mistake and said names. My aunt, I think there was photos there of Mom when she was young, my aunt when she was young. There was photos there of Mom's grandparents, my great grandparents. So I think it would be. I'm losing my train of thought here. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, we found photo albums with all them in it, and nice little mementos to remember them by. But we also have to sort through stuff and see what can be kept and what's to go. But yeah, my room and Nan's room have been turned into like general storage. There's just so much just stacked up in there, and a fair bit stacked up in Mum's old room too. Just bag upon bag upon bag. There's just one creepy statue looked straight out cursed. There was a bag, but inside was individual black sacks wrapped around themselves and then taped shut. A gift from my grandaunt. A dubious gift, like most she gave. I remember before getting when you would get a newspaper, they would sometimes have like DVDs in them and whatnot. She gave me multiple cardboard boxes of them. Multiple. She would also have a penchant for giving you like a scratch card, but it'll be a pre-scratch scratch card. Oh, you didn't win any. Oh, here you won a $5. It was kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but honestly that's the woman for you. That's her for you. Or how she used to be. She's not around anymore. She passed a fair few months back, but I'm a bit sad about it. Every so often, whenever I'm passing, I always look up at where her house used to be. Well, the house is still there, but it's not hers now. And I keep expecting to see her when I'm out. But again, family drama, and she was at the center of a lot of it. So I'm not too sad about it. Nan was not a fan of cremation. My god, I keep saying names. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My grandaunt, my nan, did not like cremation. My grandaunt had her cremated anyway. She wanted to be buried in a plot by her parents. But the grandaunt did not care for that. We have many ideas as to why she ignored this, but who knows the actual accuracy of it, you know? Did I recruit an extra animal there recently? Or was that a previous episode? Striped Hound, Motley, Pack Bull, Dead Comes. I haven't had my glasses on as I've just been talking shop here. So they're scanning the environment, checking for enemies. Again, I would like the camera that tacks onto a character and you just pivot with them. Like, you can free flow like this, but then it just tacks on and follows them around. Would also be nice. But anyway. So, yeah, there's family drama galore going around. I could say some juicy ones, but I'm not sure I should. But and I've already enough checking and editing that needs to be done, so let's not add more. But yeah, my room had been turned into general storage. There was a lot of bullshit shoved into Nan's room, but I didn't really have a look in there. And I think a bit had been shoved into Mom's old room. So we've gone through and we're going through and we're checking the place out. I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I found a box of them the other year. Have not seen a hide nor hair of the rest of them. Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm not sure if they still do it, but they give out these little metal tins. I had some of my cards in one of them. And I have not seen it. And I swear the shoebox I did found has been reduced. There's been 2 burglaries, but then there's also been people with very sticky fingers in the house who have a key. So, yeah. It might be there, it may not be. If it's not there, I'm gonna raise fucking hell. Because there was an heirloom pretty much with my name on it. My great-grandfather's walking stick. He made it himself. He was a handyman. Not by trade, he actually worked on the docks. But, like, he did the concreting out back here. The same concreting we actually still have, over 50 years later. Over, certainly. I don't know how much, but yeah. He did the work at the back himself. He made his walking stick himself. That individual gave away that walking stick. Asked no one, gave it away to be the big man. Like giving gifts. Well, we had him ask for that gift back. Apparently the friend who gave it to was dead. Oh well. But we still got it back. Apparently. It looks nothing like the cane that Nan told me was, great grandfather's cane. I'm literally named after the dude. I have his hands. And, they look great for, 30, 40 years dead. But, yeah, it looks nothing like the cane. Thing is, Nan, she may have been wrong. She may have been wrong. She's a little, woo at times, so she could have been wrong. But she could have been right. So in which case they either gave us Annie Kane and just fobbed us off. They didn't give us the right one. Or they gave us the right one and they'd fucking butchered it. It was looked like very much like a standard walking cane. Standard kind of thing. The one we got back had the handle reduced to a knob. Like you cut off 80% of it and just filed it down into a cap. And then you covered it in either black paint or black tape. Don't think it's tape. I think the top of it was covered crudely in black paint. And I think they did a similar black paint job down further too. It looked nothing like his cane. If it was his cane, then they butchered it before giving it back. So I'm pretty sour about that. Of course, it's possible that Nan had two canes. And the one I thought she was talking about was not great-grandfather's cane. No idea. But yeah. It's been tough going. Trying to sort through dirt. Because not enough there is clean. See what's there, what isn't there. What's been purloined and what hasn't. It's not been easy. It's not been easy going into your childhood home for the last time after it's become quite run down. Maybe run down's too strong a word. It's not like it's collapsing. But the place is full of mold. It's damp as hell. It's sad to see a place go like that, It is. Pack of Garu? I think I'm trying to fight. Oh no, it's a trader with some. Okay. But yeah, it's rough going into your childhood home for the last time. I grew up there in Nans till I was till sixth class. In Ireland, school goes by. You may or may not go to Montessori school, but then there's primary, so you start around 4, and then you go into. In primary, you start in senior infants, then junior infants, then first class, second class, third class, fourth class, fifth class, sixth class. Then you leave to secondary school, which is first year, second year, third year. Fourth year is called transition year, and some schools do it, some schools don't. And it's also optional. If you don't do it, then you skip to fifth year. If you do it, then it's a lot of non-standard learning. Like here, you run a stall, you do this, you do that. It's very different kind of stuff. It seems interesting. I never did it though. When I was in third year, I was in one school. bullied to hell and back by the fucking teachers. I had one piece of shit that would stalk the classrooms, waving a hurley around, and he sold himself as the kind of bastard, the kind of reprobate that will cave her head in and not think twice, go on with his day. He sold himself as that sort of brute. And honestly, I hope he necks himself. I was fucking terrified of him throughout my time there, because he waved a hurley around taking pot shots at us. He never hit us, but I remember him taking practice swings while selling himself like that. Keep in mind, this is me being civil. But anyway, dude's a scumfuck. But yeah, I was bullied immensely by the teachers. And to be honest, he wasn't even one of the bullies. He was just a cunt to everyone. The other students bullied me. Few "I'm gonna kill you" threats here. Few "I'm gonna rape you" threats there. It was a fun place. It was a fun place. I got bullied a lot growing up. I even had a teacher in fucking senior infants taking pot shots at me. She made some jibe about me having ragged clothes. She was sure I had ragged clothes at home to wear, because she wanted me to play a beggar in some play or something. It's weird. But yeah, I ended up leaving that school and going to a different school. This other school, a private school actually, did not do transition year, so I didn't get to do it by sheer virtue of fleeing the school that did. But yeah, after transition year, there's fifth year and sixth year. And then you're on to college, if you go, or trade school, or wherever. I did go to college for a bit. I'd followed my aunt's advice and did a PC course. But it really wasn't for me. It really wasn't my thing. A classics course, a history course, English course would have been much more fitting, honestly. I really liked learning classics. It was fun. If you don't get what I mean by classics, we had two sides of it, two different teachers. My English teacher covered Greek studies, while my principal, lovely man, covered Roman. And like we read about the Odyssey. We also learned a bit about the Aeneid. We learned of Catullus as a Roman poet, and we covered about Julius Caesar and the first and second triumvirate. I'll be honest with you, I actually never finished reading the Odyssey. I don't know why. I'm fine reading in class. I'm fine reading, but I'm fine doing work in class. I'm fine doing homework, but I've just terrible time actually studying, sitting down and studying. I'm bad at it. I just had difficulty focusing, and at that point, I don't know, pretty worn down from all the other bullshit. So, But anyway, it was fun learning about it. Reading it. It was interesting stuff. Like, you may not know what the triumvirate is. The triumvirate was three powerful individuals within the Roman Republic. The first triumvirate was Pompey, no relation to the city. Julius Caesar himself, and the richest man in Rome, Crassus. Julius Caesar was off on conquest in Gaul. But back home, gangs were fighting in the streets in the name of Crassus and Pompey. Thing is, Pompey never was much of a political actor, so it seemed weird to me that any gang would be fighting in his name. Never mind fighting anyone else. Pompey was I know, he seemed too humble for it. He seemed not the right kind of guy to get up to that kind of mark. So it kind of felt like the guys were just wearing his tabard, if you want to call it that. God damn, I've been talking for so long and it's still not yet hit the first hour mark yet. Mercy. But like Crassus, Pompey, yeah, it felt like the gangs were just fighting on behalf of Pompey without actually Pompey's permission. But apparently they were wearing his colours legitimately. Meanwhile, gangs were fighting in the name of Crassus. He very well could have had gangs fighting in his name. But when it was said that Rome wasn't big enough for the two of them, but it was big enough for the three of them. Once Julius Caesar came back, he was able to calm the fighting between the two sides and get Pompey and Crassus to work together to join him in the triumvirate. At this time, Pompey had been trying to get the Senate to agree to give land to his soldiers as a reward for their service. But here's the thing with the Roman army at this time. Prior to reforms brought in by this one guy, and this was after these reforms, if you wanted equipment, if you wanted training, huh? Huh. Suddenly started hearing the game sounds. I swore I did. Switched it to my headset. If you wanted to have equipment in the Roman army, you had to bring your own. If you wanted to be cavalry, you had to bring your own horse. If you wanted any training, well, you had to get trained yourself. The military provided you nothing, nor did it pay you. You were there simply as a volunteer. You did not get paid. So one guy brought in reforms where training was provided, equipment was provided, paid by the general because the Senate still refused to fucking pay it. They expected soldiers to fight and die for free. They refused to pay them. Presumably they got paid themselves, I can only assume so. But yeah. So yeah, the reforms were brought in that provided equipment, provided training, provided pay. But the Senate did not pay them. It came out of the general's wallet, leading to many soldiers being more loyal to the general than to the Senate or Rome itself, or the country. They were loyal to the guy who paid their fucking paychecks. Can you blame them? He's the only one who would have given half a damn if they died, beyond their families. The Senate would not care. The Senate didn't even care enough to pay them. And in the cases of someone like Julius Caesar, this great man, by Roman standards, would have dined with them. He would have ate in that mess hall with them and ate what they ate. He would do work around camp, despite the fact that Julius Caesar had seizures. And he was of slight build, apparently. He was not built for, camp chores. He still participated in them all the same. He earned his men's loyalty through these actions. So, yeah. Anyway, Pompey had to petition the Senate to get land for his men. But the Senate kept saying no. No, fuck off. No, not interested. So Pompey's there sitting and fuming. Presumably. Well, Julius Caesar wants to go back to Gaul and bust some Gaulish heads some more. He really likes doing that. And if you're to believe Plutarch, he was doing this all solely in preparation to siege Rome. That Caesar had known he was going to march on Rome, years and years in advance. He was planning it the whole time. Of course, Plutarch makes no. He moralizes heavily. He's not an unbiased source. He does have a grudge against Caesar. Greek guy. Um, it's not surprising he would have a grudge. His fellow Greeks were enslaved and were, there in Rome at the time. I can see why he would have a bit of a grudge against them, but anyway, he's our source for all this. So when Julius came back, Caesar came back. He petitioned. He gathered up Pompey. He gathered up Crassus, and they put their heads together. Julius Caesar and Pompey were two very successful generals. They would have carried immense political sway and ability. Crassus, on the other hand, I'm not sure if he had much success militarily, but he was the richest man in Rome. Julius Caesar himself borrowed money from him. And Julius Caesar was the second best orator in Rome, second only to Cicero. And according to Plutarch, that's because Julius was content in remaining second best. He could have contested first place if he truly wanted to. Cicero's a fun character. At one point, he's a novice. Well, he's a novice homo. It's very hard to rise in social standing in Roman society. Very, very hard. As it is, to be honest, and even nowadays, it's hard to rise in social class. But anyway, he was called novice homo because he achieved it, a new man. Novus homo? He achieved it, is the thing. He succeeded. He ended up becoming governor of a place at one point, anyway. He became governor of a settlement in southern Italy, or maybe over in Sicily. And he journeyed down south, and he did a good job governing. And he was on his way back, and he's thinking, my friends they must be so amazed with the great work I did. They must be, talking me up. I'm going to be in for some great loving. He runs into his friend on the road, and he's like, Cicero, where were you, buddy? They hadn't a clue. They didn't know the great work Cicero had done. Cicero was deeply upset. He was deeply upset. He was beside himself. Certainly, I'm sure his ego was large enough that he was on both sides of himself and hugging himself from behind. But, that's Cicero for you. Later on, those same villagers come back to contact Cicero and tell him, like, oh, the new governor has embezzled money. Please help us. And he's like, yes. The new guy was able to, Roman court is held in such a way that your court day falls on 3 days, and after that, if you aren't proven after that, then, skill issue. And, they don't send you back to court or anything like that. So, what the guy did was make sure his court day fell out, 2 to 3 days fell on religious days. And he could have probably pushed it for a third religious day, but it was probably a bit too difficult with whatever favors he had to pull and whatnot, So he figured 1 day wouldn't be enough, and it was. Cicero proved his guilt in that 1 day. He got up, he orated, and he got that guy imprisoned. Cicero is a fantastic orator. He also liked his philosophizing. He wrote various things on it, dialogues. It will be between two historical individuals. if it's anything like Cicero's use of Philippics, his uses of these historical individuals, my guess, will be to show off how educated he was, because he threw around the phrase Philippics. Philippics means, nowadays, a heated tirade. Back then, it meant against Philip, because a Philippics had been wrote about a King Philip. Was that a Macedon? I think it was a Macedon. 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 But, yeah. What even accent was that? I have no idea. But yeah, there was a King Philip anyway over there in a Greek city-state. And, God, I'm getting tired. I've been awake since like 9 a.m. It's gone midnight. But yeah, there's a King Philip, and a guy wrote a heated tirade against him, a Philippics. So Cicero started naming his works against Mark Antony, as he saw him as a wannabe emperor. But yeah, Cicero saw Mark Antony as a wannabe emperor, and wrote his Philippics against him. My mind is blanking, apologies, give me a moment. And he called them Philippixes while they weren't against Philip, but Mark Antony. He was apparently named them as such to show off how educated he was. So I wouldn't be surprised in him drawing up these various historical and philosophically significant people of yesteryear was just to show off how well educated he was. That's my guess, anyway. I actually remember stumping one of the principal. He covered Roman side. I ended up looking up about the second triumvirate. This is not something I've talked about yet here in this video. The first triumvirate, as I said, was 2 successful generals and the richest man in Rome. Julius Caesar, Pompey, no relation to the city, and Crassus. The second triumvirate was a bit less star-studded. It was Julius Caesar's successor, whose name escapes me, but the first emperor of Rome. It was him. Caesar never became emperor. His son did. Apparently he met the kid like once, and was like, I like the cut of his jib, and gave the stamp to him. If memory doth serve. We're talking about over 10 years ago I learned this stuff. Over 10 years. But anyway, look, this is just me trying to get through the time on this. I apologize, it's not all game focused. It's not game focused at all. But this is just me trying to get through the time here. Because, look, I'm barely an hour in. And I'm already talking about Julius Caesar. You're cutting me some slack here. I'm mildly dying. But yeah, he gave the kid, if I'm remembering it correctly, he saw the kid for once in his life and was just like, I like the cut of his jib. And yeah, gave him the thumbs up and had him as his successor. The kid turns up in Rome after Julius dies. And he ends up befriending not Pompey. He ends up befriending Cicero. It's irony. It's like it's fucking dramatic irony. Cicero's here railing against Rome becoming an emperor, getting a king, getting an emperor, and he ends up assisting the future emperor. But he couldn't have seen that coming. But yeah, Cicero rails against Mark Antony as a wannabe emperor, a wannabe king. That this is what he wanted to be. which made him a great enemy of Mark Antony. But anyway, Mark Antony, Caesar Jr. Plutarch referred to him as the young Caesar, so I started jokingly referring to him as Caesar Jr., and as such, I've forgotten what he's actually called. But the young Caesar, Mark Antony, and a guy called Lepidus formed the second triumvirate, with Lepidus apparently taking the role of Crassus. So I guess he was quite rich. But here's the thing. Lepidus' father rose up in rebellion against Rome. Isn't it normally the case that when someone rises up again in rebellion against a country, their whole family's put down? Teach had no idea how Lepidus avoided that his father had risen up in rebellion. Here's one major difference between the first triumvirate and second triumvirate, and this is just by my reckoning. The young Caesar, Mark Antony, were very much on the outside. I don't think either of them had any real sway. Mark Antony, I don't think, did. And I'm guessing if the whole, father was a rebel thing for Lepidus is true, I imagine that was probably not this was probably the same for Lepidus. Let me check that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, that was probably the same for Lepidus. He probably had no real political sway. He may have had some money, but that would have been it. With Daddy being a rebel, he probably wouldn't be worth very much. So from what I'm hypothesizing here, this is just me theory crafting on the spot, would be that this second triumvirate was made very much by politically potent people. I'll say that 3 times fast. It was made by 3 potentates. Is that the correct word? Regardless, it was made there. Crassus had a ton of money. He probably also had some political sway, I imagine, if he's like the other two. The other two were 2 incredibly successful generals. Pompey never lost a fight. He never lost a fight. Well, maybe I'm wrong to say he never lost a fight, but he never lost a command. Basically, like, they'll be given a job, and he will complete it. He never failed. Like, for example, once pirates managed to threaten Rome itself. They were starving Rome out. The Roman breadbasket was nowhere in Italy. It was in Egypt. Food was shipped from Egypt to Rome. So many pirates had set up so many hidden pirate docks and bases. They were I presume they set up more than one. But there were so many pirates raiding those waters that none of the food can get in. Food prices were skyrocketing. People were starving in the streets. I think the Roman government actually had to send out, relief supplies to them. But beyond that, they named Pompey dictator. In that day, dictator was a good thing. Not like now where it's like despot. Back then, dictator was a good thing. Pompey's been declared dictator. He's gonna fix things. And not in a fix things sort of way, but as in he's gonna deal with the pirates. He's gonna fix the problems we're suffering from. Because this was seen because the moment Pompey was named dictator and people found out about it, food prices dropped like that. Food prices just dropped because that's how much faith and belief they had in Pompey's ability. So, But yeah, they had just that much faith and belief in Pompey's ability. The food prices dropped immediately. And he was named dictator for, I think, 6 years. Or a year. He dealt with the issue in 6 months. And he dealt with it in a way that didn't quite satisfy the Roman people, but it was apparently quite effective. Instead of killing the pirates, he treated them very well. Certainly, some would probably have died in boarding action, but when they were taken prisoner, he treated them well. Very well as a Roman prisoner. And then they willingly told them where their comrades would be. The pirates he captured willingly told on their brothers to Pompey, because honestly Pompey was on the level. Like, he'd been good to them. And so he set out, captured the rest of them, well, those he could, and then made them farmers. I wonder if that was meant to be euphemistic for enslave them. Very well could have been. But yeah, apparently they got a bit of land and were like, here, you're farmers now. And apparently they somehow discouraged others from becoming pirates. Maybe it's like glorious death, glorious fight, but now I'm a farmer. It's a bit of a change. I never quite got it myself. Maybe it is a slavery thing. And given apparently a thing that a lot of other slavers did was castrate their slaves. That's why oh, there's slave trade around the world. Like, apparently, like, Irish people were captured by Barbary pirates, I think. Was it Barbary? Some slave traders had a ton of Irish people with them anyway. You don't find any of those Irish people around anywhere because they were castrated, I imagine. Apparently, slaves ended up in America. Slaves from the same sources ended up elsewhere as well, apparently. South America, for example. They went from the African territories to like Muslim territories or elsewhere. There's none there either because they're castrated. So the story goes. Maybe that's what happened with the pirates. No idea. The history books, the lesson covered over briefly, and I just took it at face value rather than querying and pondering. So. Tired. Yeah. Sleep's hitting me like a freight train now. It's 1:06. I swear this is going slow, man. We're 1 hour 17 into this, and it's of 5 hours 28 minutes 30 seconds. But yeah, what I was trying to say about the first and second triumvirate was, it seemed like the first and second triumvirate were dudes on the inside. They're using political sway and push to change things for what they wanted. Like, using their political sway, they were able to get Pompey's guys their land. Using their political sway, they were able to get Caesar another tour in Gaul. They were able to get Caesar another tour in Gaul, something that he wasn't meant to have. They used their political sway and power to bypass the Senate or something, to bypass how things were meant to be run. Meanwhile, the second triumvirate had a proscription. Or was it prescription? Whatever you don't get from the doctor. You know? Whatever you don't get from them, that's what they had. It's a hit list. they would prescribe particular deaths, and people would get killed. Cicero was at the top of the list, and Mark Antony insisted upon him. Young Caesar tried to get him removed because he liked the guy, but Mark Antony would have walked without it. So, begrudgingly, the kid left it there. Left him on the list. So, the first triumvirate, to my knowledge, didn't kill anyone. At least not in pursuits of their goals, because they had power. Mark Antony, whether or not he had any power, he favored murking people. He had Cicero's tongue cut out and his hands cut off, and they were nailed above this podium in the park. There was this podium. You could get onto it and start ranting and proclaiming whatever you wanted, making whatever argument you felt like. He had Cicero's tongue and hands nailed above it. So people knew that what they say and what they write can and will get them killed. So, yeah. Mark Antony was very sore because Cicero at every opportunity took in thing to be like, this is Mark Antony's fault. He is El Diablo. Not quite his words. But that was basically the sentiment. Anything that went wrong within the Republic was Mark Antony's fault, as far as Cicero was concerned. Cicero was rabid against Mark Antony. Again, he saw Mark Antony as a proto-king. And was scared of the fall of the Republic. The Republic meant a lot to Mark Antony. And he wanted to preserve it. The Roman people had a king before at this point. Before the emperor. Before Julius' son. They had a king at this point. And I think it was Tarquin the Greater was the last one. His son raped a noblewoman. Tarquin the Greater. Legendary 7th and final king of Rome, reigning 25 years until the popular uprising that led to the establishment of the Roman Republic. He is commonly known as Tarquin the Proud, from his cognomen Superbus, Latin for proud, arrogant, or lofty. Ancient accounts of the regal period mingle history and legend. Tarquin was said to have been either son or grandson of Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, the 5th king of Rome, and to have gained the throne through the murders of both his wife and his elder brother, followed by the assassination of his predecessor, Severus Tullius. His reign was described as a tyranny to justify the abolition of the monarchy. The most ancient sources, I'm just reading Wikipedia here, such as Quintus Fabricius Pictor, assert Tarquin was the son of Tarquinius Pricus, but modern historians believe that to be impossible under traditional chronology, indicating that it was either Priscus' grandson, or the traditional chronology itself is unsound. His mother was supposedly Tanaquil. Tanaquil had engineered her husband's succession to the Roman kingdom on the death of Ancus Marcus, when the sons of Marcius, Marcius, subsequently reigned the elder Tarquin assassination in 579, Tanaquil placed Severus Tullius on the throne, in preference to her sons or grandsons. According to Etruscan tradition, the hero Maxtanra, usually equated with Severus Tullius, defeated and killed a Roman general named Gaius Tarquinius, and rescued the brothers Caelus and Aulus Vibena from captivity. This may recollect an otherwise forgotten attempt by the sons of Tarquin the Elder to reclaim the thrones. To reclaim the throne. There's a lot there about genealogy. The overthrow. Toya encouraged her husband to advance his own position, ultimately persuading him to usurp his father, King Servus. Tarquin solicited the support of patrician senators, especially those whose houses had been raised to the senatorial rank under Tarquin the Elder, so present upon them and spread criticism of Servus the king. In time, he was ready to seize the throne, went to the Senate House with a group of armed men, sat himself on the throne, and summoned senators to attend him. He then spoke to the senators, denigrating Servus as a slave born of a slave, for failing to elect the Senate and the people during an interregnum, as had been the tradition for the election of kings of Rome, for having become king through the machinations of a woman, for favouring the lower classes of Rome over the wealthy, and for taking the land of the upper classes for distribution to the poor, for instituting the census so that the wealth of the upper classes might be exposed in order to excite popular envy. Um, okay, here's the bit I know about the overthrow. It was the part, from what I remember, it was the bit that broke the camel's back. There was a lot of abuses. Um, in 509 BC, having enraged Roman populace through the pace and burden of constant building, Tarquin embarked on a campaign against the Rutuli. At that time, the Rutuli were a very wealthy nation. Tarquin was keen to obtain the spoils that would come with victory, in hopes of assuaging the ire of his subjects. Failing to take their capital of Ardea by storm, the king determined to take the city by siege instead. Sorry, just to check something. Seems okay. Just paranoid I messed something up there. Because I'm getting... I am rather annoyingly tired. I'm gonna head to bed now in a sec. I'm doing this now, so I want to eke out as much as possible out of it. Deck comes as collapsed and starving. Hannibal is too. Not a good look. Or did Deck comes get this shit kicked in? Shit kicked in. Oh fuck, they butchered him. Reloading. Definitely reloading. But yeah, I know, I just feel weirdly disconnected from it, so it's really weird to... Striketown is dead, Striketown has been butchered. It's really weird to, like, try and post-commentate it. Really weird. I just feel oddly, like, disconnected from it, and it's all I just end up... I know, just not sure what to even fucking say. But anyway, where am I? Septimus. With little prospect of battle, young noblemen in the king's army fell to drinking and boasting, when the subject turned to the virtue of their wives. Lucius Tarquinius Coantius claimed to have the most dedicated of spouses. With his companions, they secretly visited each other's wives, and discovered all of the wives enjoying themselves, except for Lucretia. Lucretia? Lucretia. Lucertia, the wife of Clantus, who was engaged in domestic activities. Ocrantia received the princess graciously, and together her beauty and virtue kindled a flame of desire Clantus's cousin, Sextus Tarquinius, the king's son. After a few days, Sextus returned to Claudia, where he implored Lucretia to give herself to him. When she refused, he threatened that if she did not yield herself to him, he would kill her, and claimed that he discovered her in the act of adultery with a slave, for which he had slain the unfaithful Lucretia, delivering the punishment as her husband's kinsman. To spare her husband the shame of being threatened by Sextus, Lucrezia submitted to his desire. But when he departed for the camp, Lucrezia sent for her husband and father, revealing the whole matter and accusing Sextus of raping her. Despite the pleas of her family, Lucrezia stabbed herself to spare Cleanthus any suspicion that she betrayed him. Her grieving husband, together with his father-in-law, Spurius Lucretius Tristinius, and his companions, Lucius, there's a lot of Luciuses, and Lucretius, Lucius Junius Brutus, and Publius Valerius swore an oath to expel the king and his family from Rome. So yeah, there was a list upon list of abuses, but then a Tarquin rapes a noblewoman, and it's just like, fucking straw that broke the fucking camel's back, and institutes a Roman Republic. I'm just reading the wiki here. I need to get a book on it. I had gotten a historical book ages back, and I was kind of bored one day. I was skimming through it, and it was just like, oh, it was so hard for women to get acknowledged, and it was just like, it's hard for anyone to get acknowledged. Most people in history have died completely unremarked. I'll be surprised if, if they were even acknowledged in like birth records, if there's birth records for most of, people in history, certainly there may have been difficulty given, societal customs and standings for women to get acknowledged, but that's not much different to most men. Your poor peasant farmer is still shit out of luck for getting acknowledged. So, So it was just like, I kind of lost interest there because it was just like, oh, and you're a historian and apparently doubt escapes you? Wow, you're not good at your job, are you? Oh, I don't want to learn from you, now do I? And I lost interest. Like I said, there would be stuff that would make it difficult for a woman to achieve notoriety or notability, but still, there's plenty of stuff that cripple the guy's ability to get notability as well. It's nothing unique to women. There may be some added difficulty in things, but that's just a reality. Most people die unremarked. Most people are forgotten by the annals of history. So, that's just the reality of it. As tribune of the Saures, Brutus was the head of the king's personal bodyguard, and entitled to summon the Roman Comitia. This he did, and by recounting the various grievances of the people, the king's abuses of power, and by inflaming public sentiment with the tale of the rape of Lucretia, yeah. I keep wanting to say the chick from FF7, which I think was Lucretia, but I think this is a different spelling. Yeah, the other one was Lucretia. But anyway. Brutus persuaded the Comitia to revoke the king's imperium and send him into exile. Though he fled the city in fear of the mob, while Sextus Tarquinius, his deed revealed, fled to Gabii, where he hoped for protection of the Roman garrison. However, his previous conduct there had made him many enemies, and he was soon assassinated. In place of the king, the Comitia Centuria resolved to elect 2 consuls to hold power jointly. That way, if one was mad, the other could keep them in line. Lucretius, the prefect of the city, presided over the election of the first consuls, Brutus and Cleanthus. When word of the uprising reached the king, Tarquin abandoned Ardea and sought support from his allies in Etruria. The cities of Vi, and Tarquinia. Tarquinii? This is all Latin, damn it. Send contingents to join the king's army. Prepare to march upon Rome. I'm sorry, I'm getting caught up in reading this. But yeah, the rape was the straw that broke the camel's back. And similarly, there is actually a painting of it. There's also a Shakespearean play. The Rape of Ukrusi. The spelling is changed again. The paintings, I think there's at least one painting of it. This painting looks different to the one I know of. Different angle on it. But sorry, I just got caught up in reading that. Ah, fuck, I need to get more than just manga. I've some Fist of the North Star on the way. I need to get more than just that. I need to get some historical stuff. I suppose like one issue with like getting all this stuff is that people are recounting history, but they're going to tell it through their lens, through their perspective. It's hard for people to be unbiased. Even myself, I'm vulnerable to it. I try and be as unbiased and accurate as possible, but I'm mortal. Yeah, I'm human. You know, bias is an inevitability. Oh, there was a point I was going to get at here. Like it's going to be affected like by political viewpoints, beliefs. Oh yes, what I was going to say was I was talking about this before in the Cyberpunk episode. Actually, in the other bit, I had to re-record. I'd said it in the original, and then I said it again in the re-recorded one. It was, when I had to rescue the trainer from the Tiger Claws dojo. Then it went back in and shot the place up. Yeah, that place. I was talking about the Odyssey, and we were told to like, oh, we have to study for the exam and see this note and that note and this other note. And like one of the things we had to keep in mind for the exam was or something they drew attention to during our study of it was at one point the city's surrounded and two guys go to escape the city. They're told to bring a message to, the boss man to come back with the army to save them. But they get caught. They see the enemy camp underguarded. They're asleep. The two split up, break in, and start killing them to, as a person rebuke to the enemy army. But the enemy does wake, and one of them gets grabbed and killed. The other is deeply upset about his friend dying and charges, trying to take on the army by himself, and dies for it. The teacher proclaimed they were clearly gay and in love. As far as I remember, again, I never actually got to finish reading it, but she never said anything else as to why they were gay and in love. But for the fact that he was upset his friend dying in front of him. Yeah, that was her argument and POV. Oh, his friend died in front of him. Clearly, he must have been gay. Crickets. Crickets. Well, his friend died in front of him. He clearly must have been gay because a straight man wouldn't have been moved in any way. No. That's fucking retarded. So, if someone's fucking retarded, they're obviously going to say something in a biased manner. They're going to warp things in different ways. They may leave details out because it doesn't suit their interests. Let's put it another way. Everyone's heard of child brides, yeah? Everyone's heard of them. Child husbands are a thing too, where little Timmy's married off. But again, no one hears of it. No one knows of it. So, immense biases and shit. Like, for example, when we were learning about the Greeks, we talked about how men weren't considered men till they were in their 30s. You had to hit 30 to no longer be considered a boy. But for a girl, you were a girl till you were 12, till you were 13. Once you hit 13, you're a woman. I don't know how it was with the Romans, but the Romans had a penchant for underage boys. They had a predilection. That was not touched on at all. Catullus talked enough about teaching a boy hunger. Yeah, it was a thing they did. Teaching a boy to hunger. But that wasn't covered at all. That was just completely ignored. Again, because of... Well, I'm sure somewhere along the line it was biases. Not necessarily my teachers, but maybe it just wasn't on the syllabus. They themselves may not have known it. Because, well, you can only know so much, but it's just not something that's taught. Like, people legitimately do believe guys don't get raped. So... What's this? Nice weapon. God damn, there's so much more to go. I've already gone through the gamut. But yeah, if someone's biased in one way or the other, or they have a political ideology one way or the other, it's going to affect what they write. And they may start writing inaccuracies, or they may start ignoring the reality of the situation. Like remember I was saying before that the person was complaining how hard it was for women to get notability. And certainly there would have been difficulties in women achieving such a thing. I don't disagree. But the reality is it was difficult for everyone to get notability. It wasn't an easy thing to become known in the annals of history. Most people have died ignominiously. Most people have died forgotten. For that to be a special, like, women, women suffer thing. Kinda, what's even going on here? I have no idea. I think someone attacked one of my guys for being an ex-slave. But you kind of have to be ignoring, the actual context. Though it also just sounds like they're making that one joke. Meteor falls, women most affected. Like that random peasant, that forgotten woman there. our family's probably forgotten too. You know? Most of them probably are just completely blanked from the annals of history. It's nothing against her, it's just how it was. It's often things are a class thing, and it's not just a sex thing or a race thing, it's often a class thing. Class is a pretty major hammer, So certainly the others can have an impact, certainly, don't get me wrong, it's just class is a thing. And people often forget about it, and so often it feels deliberate. And probably because a lot of people forgetting about it are people who are profiting from it. They're doing better than the people that are supposedly doing better than them. So they drop class as a concept to focus on the sides they're supposedly suffering from. But, just call me a cynic. You can call me a cynic, but you can't call me wrong. But yeah, I would love to grab history books and read on stuff, but I wouldn't even know who would be a good source, who would be a good one to read, because so many people are so aggressively biased and blinded, some gleefully so. They're like almost proud of it, So it's just I don't know how to, who to trust, who will be a good source, who would be a good one to read, who wouldn't be. And even translations would be botched, because I was thinking there, should I just go back and read Plutarch himself? He may be a fine source to read, but would the translations of his work be? There's an issue. Because there's someone was been recently translating the Odyssey. Odyssey translation. Was it Emily Wilson? English translations. I could be Emily Wilson. Then again, yeah, it's Emily Wilson. She did a translation of the Iliad in 2023 in September, and there was a translation of one of these. I thought people had said the Odyssey, but I guess it was the Iliad, and she apparently did a shit job on it, unless it's someone else. Unless it was someone else. But judging from this first line here on Wikipedia, it's not reassuring. Emily Wilson, a professor of classical studies at the University of Pennsylvania, notes that as late as the first decade of the 21st century, almost all the prominent translators of Greek and Roman literature have been men. She recalls her experience of translating Homer one of intimate alienation. Wilson writes that this has affected the popular conception of characters and events of the Odyssey. I'm not sure if this is accurate, because as far as I remember, she was butchering translations and would translate things to insult male characters where she could, where there wasn't insults in the source material. She was derogatory in how she would write male characters, all the while complaining here that others would translate, were being allegedly inventing derogatory language. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's the truth and what isn't. I'll read here exactly what Wikipedia says. Intimate alienation. Wilson writes that this affected popular conception of characters and events of the Odyssey, infecting the story with connotations not present in the original text. For instance, in the scene where Telemachus oversees the hanging of slaves who've been sleeping with the suitors, most translations introduce derogatory language, sluts or whores. The original Greek does not label these slaves with derogatory language. In the original Greek, the word is hai, H-A-I, the feminine article, equivalent to those female people. I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure if that's true in the slightest. What I've heard is that she butchers the translation of the Odyssey. Her language is very plain in comparison to previous translations, and she does insert insults and derogatory terms of her own aimed at, say, like Odysseus, where there wasn't any in previous translations. I guess the thing here is that the translations were mistranslated previously. But without being able to speak ancient Greek, I haven't a clue. I can't comment. So it's basically a slap fight between a very exclusive sect of nerds. Simply put. But, yeah, I think it was Emily Wilson recently that achieved a lot of infamy for herself. Maybe it's not her. I'm seeing nothing but positive. I'll have to take another look and see. Oh, here's a critique. But I can't read anymore because it's pay-locked. But when I heard of it before, there was none but critiques and levies against it. I don't personally have much of an opinion myself, but she's claiming others were mistranslating and inserting words, and the critiques I've heard, if I'm getting the person's translation right, they were saying she was doing the very much same thing. She was inserting her own shit into it, running down characters herself. So, yeah, I'm gonna call this here. But yeah, basically, fuck. Basically, it's a slap fight between nerds. She was saying that they were calling the slaves whores and sluts, and that's inaccurate. That it was just say those female people. That was it. Meanwhile, others are saying that she was inaccurate in inserting her own words. So what I'm getting at is, like, I could go back and just read Plutarch. He's a biased source, but he's what everyone draws upon. But even if I was to find an English translation of him, it may not be accurate. Because he's, someone may have decided that, whatever he's wrote is offensive. This or that. and then translated his lines differently for that reason. So, yeah, it's just like, I would love to go read a history book, but if I was to write, like, find like a thesis here on the Roman Republic, like the fall of the Roman Empire, I read one before. Um, if I was to go read one, there's the biases or inaccuracies because of the writer. If I was to go read like first-hand sources, I would have to rely on translators, and that could be wrong. As one way or the other, apparently the Odyssey translations were wrong. I don't get her whole intimate alienation thing. Like, okay, the translators have all been dudes before. How are you intimately alienated by that? It just seems, I am woman, hear me whine. I'm sorry, that's all I'm fucking getting. Also, if you're gonna be like, oh, that's sexist, that's wrong, you shouldn't be saying that. If you want, I can get Mum in the next video and have her say it. She'll probably say worse. I'm being polite here. If you want. I can guarantee she'll say worse. Like, I can't remember if I withheld making the crack or not. I think I did. I was playing RimWorld recently as of time of recording this audio. Not this game, but this audio. Modded run of RimWorld. And there was going to be like, I was told, like, okay, if you take on this job, you gotta build this building, and if any harm comes to it, there will be a psionic drone that will dull the consciousness of women in the colony. And I had to withhold myself from making the gab of dull their consciousness. And that implies they have any. And I held myself back. I grappled with my demons there, like, argh. And yeah, I made the crack to Mum the next day. She found it funny and agreed. So yeah, I am woman, hear me whine. Like, I don't get the issue. Like, okay, yeah, they're all, or vast majority were dudes, and do you really need dead women holding your hand? Like, it'd be one thing if they were actively being a cunt to you. But if it's just like, this path hasn't been trodden before by another woman, why does that make you feel alienated? It just sounds like you got a glass fucking jaw. It's fine for me to say that I'm actually pretty frail. Look, I'm arthritic and I've got fibromyalgia. I'm no Mike Tyson. I'm sure the clap of his ass cheeks will shatter some of my bones. But I'm certainly quick enough. And actually, remember I was saying I went up to clean and tidy earlier in this audio recording? Before I went up on the first day, I tidied up my room a fair bit, as there was a fair possibility of that workman bringing something from up there and putting it in my room, and stuff has to be moved, and so I had to do a big tidy up, because I've kind of not done it in a while. As I'm starting to try and bend, suddenly my hip pops. It felt like it was out of the socket for a moment. It felt like the bone was trying to go the wrong way for a moment. So it popped back in and I could move again. Sometimes it feels like my muscles bend the wrong way. They bend backwards. It's not great. So yeah, I'm pretty messed up. So yeah. But yeah, from what I remember seeing articles the other day. I don't have them at present, and all the ones I can find are glowingly positive, possibly again because of biases. You know, when the whole "I am woman, hear me whine" is in effect, everyone seems to rush to placate. Um, the stuff I'd seen was saying that she butchered the Odyssey. That she's complaining about there being insulting dialogue aimed that's not in the original. Fair enough, that's not a good thing if it's true. But then she's apparently insulting her own insulting dialogue that's not in the original. Her translation of it is also a hell of a lot plainer, apparently, than the dialogue in the source material. Which is another. Well, sorry, not. Let me start again. Her dialogue is apparently also a lot plainer than other like previous attempts at doing the Odyssey. That was one critique I saw levied. I don't really remember any of the examples well enough to comment, and I don't know ancient Greek, so I can't comment to say which if either of them is mistranslated. But like I said, it's a slap fight between a very small group of nerds. No one else can really say yay or nay, because it's relying on translating ancient Greek. Very few other than those nerds can speak it. I can speak more Japanese, and I've just watched. I've watched a bit of anime, and I've watched a bit of what's it? I've forgotten their fucking name. Unjash. I've watched a bit of Unjash. You know, I'm more authoritative on the fucking Japanese language than goddamn ancient Greek. If you don't know what Unjash is, they are a group of Japanese comedians. I do recommend their work. It is quite funny. If you're worried about like it being a cultural divide and not being funny from that, it's fine. From what I've seen, there wasn't that much cultural stuff to it. Like one of the shtick gags was guys brought it on to do the soundboard for a live action tokusatsu show. It's like a stage show. So he has to hit the buttons to do the different like voice lines for the characters and the like punch sound effects. And he keeps doing it at the wrong time. Like he keeps not hitting the punch button. So it keeps like the other comedian, because it's a duo, can't, his punches are missing apparently. And at the end, when he's like, haha, I've saved the day, I've saved the girl, and she's like, I'm hurt. And he's like, I'm not that kind of guy. And it's the banter. They did a similar one where it was a fire safety gag. And, oh no, there's a girl falling. What should we do? Itankimasu. Or however it goes. And he's like, no, we don't eat her. Oh no, there's a guy over there. He's after hitting his head against the wall. What do we do? Delicious. Then there's another one where it's again fire safety, where there's a fire. How long should we hide under the table? For the rest of our lives. That's a very sad life, just staying under the table for it. No, really. How long do we stay there? 1 second. That's too fast. You'll just bang your head. You'll be just down and up again. Bang your head. And it's very emotive and dramatic. The stuff was fun. Unjash. Unjash. There was another one of like two employees start shit talking their boss. One is kind of egged on by the other. And the one doing the egging on ends up noticing the boss coming in. And so they stop for a moment. And the other's still going. Still going. The boss is there in the doorway watching. It's still going. And the one that sees the boss, they made eye contact. Says, fuck it. And goes back to insulting the boss with more vigor than ever. Mentioned bosses, I was like, hey, I'm here. We made eye contact. And it's like, you meant to stop when we came in. I could have ignored it otherwise. It's just been a flesh wound. Oh, how are you now? I'm bleeding out. But yeah. It's very funny. It's beautiful shit. It's beautiful shit. But anyway, it's 6 minutes to 2. I'm getting up at 9 a.m. and I have more shit to do tomorrow. Let's go. Go and shit. I have to go try and find the letter here at home. Have to. Tired. I have to go get more dog food, and we've been continency pads for the Westie, so I have to go get more of those. So yeah, I got a bit to do tomorrow. There's probably a few other stuff there too. Then we're probably gonna go record more. We finished today in totality the Night at the Gate of Hell. Sorry, Night at the Gates of Hell. We finished that base game in one sitting. We took like 2 breaks in the middle of it, but we finished the base game in that one sitting. In one sitting, we did Booty Creek, Cheek Freak. Booty Creek, Cheek Freak. We did that in one sitting. And in 2 sittings, we managed to do Evil in the House of Evil in the House of Dr. Flechenstein. And we bet that in 2 sittings. Both same day, just dinner in between. My god, it took up so much goddamn space. Those 2 things together took, 3 things. We also finished off Choo Choo Charles. But just the Night at the Gates of Hell and the 2 side games that come part of it as extras, they took up 56.8 gig. 56.8 gig. 56.8 gig. It's the VCR effect on them. It really jacks up the file size. I heard a story about VCR, not about VCR, but how computer recording works. Each pixel is checked against the previous frame. If the pixel's the same, then it's just marked as the same as before. If it's not the same, then it's marked down newly. If it's marked down the former way, then it saves space. With the VCR effect, the whole screen is in constant flux. There's never a duplicate. So, or there's a lot less duplicates than there should be. So, it jacks up file size, if that's true. Because with the base game, we did it in 3 hours 40 odd, 50 odd. 3 hours 40 odd. And I have a similar length series of a session of Cyberpunk. And that did not end up nearly as long. Nearly as large. That session of Cyberpunk ended up like 12, 13 gig compared to that 40. So, yeah, 40.5 gig for the base game of Night at the Gates of Hell, and for about the same length, Cyberpunk was so much shorter. It's so much smaller. So, I'm actually going to call this here, folks. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this, and I'm going to go get some sleep. I do hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you join me again soon. Till then.